get ready for an absolutely massive strike. Tens of thousands of academic workers that work for the University of California, a university system, have walked out. People are saying it is not only one of the largest strikes in recent years, but in this field, potentially the largest that we've ever experienced. Obviously, massively consequential for California. They are demanding obviously higher pay. It's incredibly difficult just to get along in California. The cost of housing and rent is out of control, as it is in so many places, but also more reimbursement for public transit, additional childcare subsidies, expanded healthcare for dependents, and other benefits. They additionally say, the union officials representing this movement say that the university system has violated labor law nearly 24 times in the course of their recent negotiations, dealing directly with certain groups of workers and changing certain working conditions without going through collective bargaining. These unfair labor practices, they say, triggered the strike. So 48,000 unionized campus employees walking out. That is about as big as one of these movements as I can remember. Jessica, what do you make of it?
Yeah, it's really interesting because the communication's a little bit easier with the university where you have all of the people's emails in one centralized place. It's a lot easier to communicate when you have that available to you. Like, you don't have that in Amazon warehouses, in Walmarts, you just don't. And so it makes it a little bit easier for them to organize, but it's a good demonstration of people power and the kinds of things that you should be striking for. I mean, workers' rights are not protected. We need more funding for the NLRB for sure, because pretty much why they're striking is not like, hey, we just need a raise given current inflation and rent increases. It's also they have a history of not collective bargaining, not participating in the process as they should. And so it's about correcting that as well. But it's a little bit easier to do when you can just send everybody an email blast.
Yeah, that is definitely true. So yeah, we have to remember that while me as a person who covers this just in a broadcast capacity, I might just mentally put this in the context of other movements that are going on. There are specific characteristics to each of these that we should bear in mind. So that's a great addition. Thank you for that. I want to give you just a little bit of what some involved in the strike are saying. One doctoral candidate says, we're the ones who perform the majority of the teaching and we're the ones who perform the majority of the research. We're the backbone of the university, and I have a hard time seeing how operations are gonna be maintained with us on the picket line. One fourth-year doctoral candidate in English says he makes $2,500 a month before taxes and pays more than half of that in rent for his graduate housing. Says others make far less, adding it came to this because it was untenable. I tried, just for comparison's sake, I tried to remember because I was a TA at the University of Texas at Austin. I think it was comparable to that, and that was not recently. That was like 15 years ago. And the cost of living in Austin, while high back then, was nowhere near what it is in California right now. That is just not livable at that point. And so totally understand why they would get involved in this. And with that many people striking, I don't know how they break it. I know that they're probably working behind the scenes as hard as they can right now to figure out a way, but it seems like that's gonna be a tough row to hoe, Jessica.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be able to break this. There are a lot of people with PhDs who are out of a job, but it's gonna be difficult to find someone who's willing to scab on this many teachers. That's a lot of scabs for them to find. Teachers, professors, teaching assistants, and other university staff. Not only that, but once people get back from the winter break, now they're probably approaching final season now that it's Thanksgiving. But they're gonna wanna collect tuition for the spring semester. They're gonna wanna figure this out before the holidays.
Yeah, 100%. They can't afford to just like close up shop like Kanye's university or something. This is slightly more significant. And they don't have NDAs, I assume.
No.
Anyway,
yeah.
With that said, as a person who worked I worked at multiple universities. I was a doctoral candidate and a TA, like all the support in the world to them as they continue this strike. They say, by the way, the university, I guess to be fair, they say they value the important and highly valued contributions of all these people, and they've been working to get an agreement, and they're gonna continue to work. And I hope that something like that is true.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.